Happy Friday. Welcome back to Recoup. Today is Friday, December 26, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Friday weekly check-in where we recap what we have been delivering the past week and plan out what we're doing next. We'll kick off the Friday how we always do. In one word, how you feeling today? And in one sentence, what do you need today?
I'm feeling chill. I need to cleanse today. I've been, holiday food and laziness, and I feel like I need to just get back on schedule. But we have one more week of laziness, so
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. First is still around the corner.
what about you?
Feeling introspective and need macro reflection or planning.
I like it. Let's use this time to do that.
I've been thinking of opening up the GitHub for Recoup chat and just going through the commits or the pull requests and reviewing what we did. Do you have any other way that you would prefer to reflect on the year?
No, let's do it.
We'll start there and see if that feels productive. So at the start of this year, we were working on Wrapped 360. We were trying to do like a Spotify Wrapped, and we were having people give us all of their socials, and then we would go out and scrape them using our own internal scraping tools. I believe we might have been using some of Apify. We also had the Recoup chat repo, which is what we're looking at right now. Other than those two, I don't think on the repository level we had anything else. June, is this all of them? This might be all of them. 21, this might be 21. So the earliest one in here is MCP Foul from March. MCP, we were doing MCP stuff, a public website, Actions Worker, Telegram bot, Redis, admin, founder dashboard, another enterprise client, Recoup agent APIs. This was one of the big workers that we had. Template, delete, this needs deleted. Template workflows, that's SID. Template chat, that's SID. X402 AI started. This was me playing around with X402. It can be deleted. Recoup Slack, SID. Recoup docs are our docs. I think that's also new as of this year. Tasks is definitely new. Chat is the repository that we've been building on for over a year. Supabase is brand new. API is new as well. So the main one that we did was Recoup chat this year. Let's pull requests or commits.
Whatever you want.
Let's try commits and see. There's 5,000 commits. I want to see if I can take it back to January of 2025. Let's go on the first and just see what we see. Well, I do want the whole year, but I don't want to. How long is it going to take me to jump page by page? And is there a way to? This is 3 weeks ago. We should probably go with pull requests because we're only into November. Yeah, I'm going to go over to pull requests to try to make it a little bit broader. We'll see if we labeled them well. 1,000 pull requests. 3 weeks ago, if I jump to page 5, we're in October. What's the best way to do a macro look at what has been delivered this year?
I just asked Cursor to go through all Recoup chat commits. Tell me the most important of 2025. Let's see what it does.
Yeah, this is too many to be able to talk through. We're already at 30 pages of pull requests.
Well, I mean, I can kind of walk through what I remember. Do you want to walk through what from a memory standpoint, what sticks out per quarter? So I think per quarter, the first quarter of the year we kicked off the year hard with the agent influx from on-chain shit, and hit like 500 signups like that first week. and had crazy momentum. I also think you kicked off your journey of live streaming, right? At the top of the year,
Maybe.
right? Or like really kicked it into high gear.
I believe it was a Q1. That would make sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, that first, I think that first quarter was, I mean, in my recollection, was us transitioning from a feature just for specifically the campaign, the La Tyler campaign that we were making this for, and moving into more of a platform based for anyone. We were also on LangChain at that time, I think. We were also on what was the Stacks? Was it Stacks?
Yeah, stack.so for points.
Yeah. So for points and I think all memories were stored.
Yeah, a lot of data was being stored in L3 that's now died.
Yeah. So has it died really?
Yeah, they've deprecated points. They're about to shut it down. I think my prediction is the entire thing is going away.
So that was a good choice then.
Get off of it? Yeah, to get off of it. It was bad choice from me to be like, oh, let's try to do it all on an L3.
Yeah, it's all right though. Learning. So yeah, that first quarter was really us just learning. I remember at one point, I think the chat broke when we did move over to Stacks, or from Stacks to Superbase. So I really, the year started, or at least in the admin dashboard. Oh, let's pull that up actually. What am I doing? Hello.
We had Eliza that we were doing when we were bringing an agent kit.
Yeah. Let's go to usage. Let's go to last 12 months. Let's see if this is still, I haven't checked this in a month or two, so. Nice. All right, cool. So this was January. I purposefully removed all users in January that came in from that influx of like that viral moment. So this is really from like January to February. Why is it March? That's weird. And why is it active annual users? Let me a second. Let me see what's going on here. Is this not able to do that right now? Great. Now we have a different thing. Well, look at this. That's pretty cool.
It looks nice.
It looks nice.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust it.
Yeah, no, but for right now, let's just talk about what happened. So this was like the influx. And so it was really between January and February of right here when we started to like really kick off in quarter one. This was like, this is supposed to be February. So that's just pretend that says February. We dropped because we switched from Stacks to Superbase and chat broke for a month-ish. And then this was also around the time that you came in more frequently than Ziad, right? Right around this time. And then we just started picking up. What's really interesting is that I think if I'm not mistaken, between April and August or July was me sending the weekly emails to customers. And I haven't been doing that lately. And I mean, it seems like that this is what's, if I had to guess, that mixed with all of our features that like I was updating was like the main push for this this right here. Although the interesting part is that they didn't stick around, and so we can go through each one why, but Uh, it just seems like people just need to be reminded more of AI stuff. They'll come in, they'll try it. They get counted as an active user, and then they go away if the product doesn't meet their expectations for the other AI tools that they're using, um, or it doesn't solve a problem exactly immediately. But I think that's the biggest takeaway from this trend chart that I'm seeing is weekly or active users and email marketing. Uh, there's a correlation between those two. Um, it, but at the same time, it didn't correlate to sales immediately. So I have to think through that. Any thoughts on what you're seeing, or any want to recollect on any of the quarters and what you remember shipping and what mattered to you?
I agree. I see on January we shipped out the autopilot tab, and we were doing autopilot, and it was all Jad. Um, Originally, we had an artist drop down, and we had a new agent and a new chat button. Everything was built on Stack in January. We were doing mobile stuff. We were doing a lot of styling stuff. We were doing those reports in January. February got into switching PNPM to Yarn, removing pop-ups on iPhones.
What was my first commit?
We'll definitely get there this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Updating the AI model, we got into O3 for the AI model that we were doing in February, agent IDs, socials and reports, funnels, selecting segments from those reports, cursor rules. We got in our first cursor rules. We were getting actions for the autopilot tab. We had this big autopilot tab to try to recreate virtuals, the ability to look inside of Luna's brain. We started building out docs inside of the front end repo in February, which I believe still might live there. I don't know if we ever deleted them. Sid Swift merged a pull request in March.
There it is.
I don't know if that was your first, but I see a page.
I think it might have been.
Yeah,
For
these
that,
do
for
look
this,
like your first, and it looks like you kind of went crazy.
yeah. That was the first Reap one where it was like I also merged like the 10,000 lines of PMP lock or some shit.
Fix artist switching bug in chat application. Looks like it was closed for you. If I have to guess, the first one might have been consolidate Supabase migration files into Recoup repo, but I could be wrong on that. And then you start updating the database type files. You were doing database stuff to try to get artist IDs. Let's keep going. January, February, March. So that's Q1. Q1 was Jad building out autopilot and the original chat repo and the reports and selecting segments. And then I came in and it was still just kind of refactoring. And then Sid came in and Sid was doing Supabase stuff. So kind of transitioning in Q1 from Ziad to me. Q2, Sid is now merging with me. Jad's not in here anymore. We go from LangGraph to Vercel AI SDK on March 25th.
Nice.
So end of March, we switched to Vercel AI SDK. Anything else you remember from Q2 specifically? Looks like artist knowledge bases was a Q2 in March thing as well.
Yeah, knowledge bases, Vercel.
We added Vercel Analytics.
Q2 was getting the chat to work.
Yeah.
Like with our new architecture.
Yeah, it might have been where we were trying to say, look, we need it to respond always. We need it to not crash. We need the chat to work.
Correct. Yeah.
We had a whole bunch of tools. I was deleting a bunch of code I didn't think looked right. We were trying to get dynamic chats and to have URLs so that, and we were also trying to speed it up so that when you send a message, you would see it.
Yep.
Then Veerbal came in his first commit was mermaid charts on May 3rd, May 2nd was Veerball's first commit, and it was React Markdown for Mermaid support.
Nice.
So Q1 was Jad, Q2 was me and Veerball. And
No.
Sid, but I think Sid was in for like a week, and then he was like, well, let's hire someone instead. And then I think you found Veerball.
Yeah, Q2 was you and me. May starts Q3, right?
Ah, you're right. Okay. Yeah. So it seems like mostly cleanup and migration to Vercel AI SDK. Not a ton of big flashy stuff, mostly
No,
trying to get us to stability.
Q2 was you coming in, getting your hands on the code base and being like, I would not being like, I need to build it the way I would build it. Like,
Yeah,
like
right.
not Ziad's version. And so
Mhm.
that was, but like, then look what it did, right? Like, from March to April, it was all of that. And then going right into May through July, we spiked in usage, partially because of emails, but it also seems like partially because the thing was working. So there was more time for people to try stuff. We also like really didn't. We were still kind of unsure of our ICP. Were we for artists? Were we for executives? Uh, that during that time, it was a lot of like us finding out who benefited the most from the product, how they were using it. I think around May through July is when I created the admin stuff to start tracking that, like made this repo that we're looking at now. And also like the error tracking and things like that. So like just really started tracking. Once it worked, we were able to start tracking and marketing.
Also in Q3, so we had Veerball. We also focused on the create new artist flow.
Yeah.
So that was us being like, we need a create new artist flow that is all these tools that get called. So then we added in the Spotify tools for get an artist. They were probably basic before Veerball then went in and added in all the styling for them. We got mini app distribution. So the first time we got distribution in another platform outside of web interface, and that inside of Base and Farcaster's app, we added in generate image for the first time. So we're now transitioning to other tool sets, no longer just doing the scraping stuff. Now we're generating image, which is the first time we did real content generation. That was in all of that was May. May we kind of took off. It feels like we had the stability. Q2 was me getting in there and getting the stability, and then Q3 it's like, okay, well, now that we have this, we added in the new artist goes to the top. We added in sliding animations to make it so that the artists on the sidebar were working better. Knowing where you're feeling now about artist select and the friction of it, do you think this year was over invested on the artist sidebar, or how do you feel about the investment that was made in animations, pinning, and all of the logic for the artist sidebar on the right?
I don't think it was I don't think it was over invested. I just think it was not built modularly. Like I think what it did help me with is like going into demos immediately saying this line. It's like ChatGPT. The difference is you have all of your artists and roster here. So it like immediately framed the the entire application around our what we were going for, right? Without it, it almost is like, well, why would I use this other than ChatGPT? And then you have to like click the artist and then show them, and then so like there is a value there. But I think what like we didn't build it modularly enough to like easily and quickly swap in different kinds of creators or brands, or but like we weren't thinking that modularly at the time. I think is my 2 cents. What do you think?
That's fair. I don't know if I've ever really touched that artist sidebar too much. I think Jad might have originally built it, and then Veerball picked it up to throw in his animation and his styling expertise. And I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know if I ever really went in like I did a lot of the chat and was like, let me really think about how we can get this down into some simple primitives and build on top of that.
Yeah, agreed.
YouTube sign in was added. It feels like the first time where we really did generative UI. because Veerball came in and did a lot of those components. We were always talking, we want to do these styled components, but we couldn't really justify it. And then Veerball, you found him and he was doing awesome styled stuff. And so then we brought him in. He did all the styling on Spotify and our Create New Artist flow. Then he did YouTube login. YouTube login was the first time he started building something out. And then I didn't think he understood and I took him off and then realized he did understand and tried to backtrack myself. We had email, contact the team, Telegram bot. Now we've got multiple clients.
I want to pause for a second because I think you glossed over email, but I think was one of the most important features of the year. At least for me, when I'm like showing people Recoup, the ability for me to say like, again, like it goes back to the best features that I'm finding, or at least the features that I'm being reminded of are the ones that I can directly compare them against chat clients and say, here's where we differentiate. Here's why you would use this over ChatGPT. One of them was artist sidebar. One of them was email was a huge one. It was very hard to explain. It's hard to explain all of the robustness of the email feature because you have to say like, one, people can get it and you can send emails to people and they don't have to be a subscriber of the platform. Huge upside. So your team can participate in the intelligence without needing a subscription. Two, you can style the emails however you want. It's not strictly, looking like Recoup. You can make it look like your artist. You can say, make it a beautiful red, whatever you want. And so like, there's like a lot of robustness to that feature that I think allowed me to play around in the space of like, what's the best way to demo it? That was super valuable. So that I want to just shout out that was one of the bigger differentiated features that just like, I think also kicked off the wave of like how this thing can be more modular, not strictly, stuck in chat, and also not strictly. I think it was like a great decision from your part, because I'm pretty sure I was pushing back on like the emails should be styled. They need to look on brand for Recoup, like the traditional way of going with most platforms. And I believe you pushed back at the time and said, no, like it should be modular. Let people decide or let the agent or people decide how they want to style emails. And I fought it at first, but I think now it's an added feat, like it's a feature because nobody else is doing things that way. Nobody else is that free. And it also kicked off the journey of, well, what if we just let other people be more free like that in the way they use the platform? So I just wanted to double click on the email feature. And also like, I remember you saying, I want to build it, which is good because like, it wasn't me saying we need to build email. It was you saying like, I walked into Starbucks. I believe this is what happened, right? Like my version of the story is you walked into Starbucks, you saw everybody on their computers with Gmail open and you were like, we need distribution in Gmail. Like, what are we doing? And then you came and were like, yo, I'm going to build out this email feature. So that was like a cool moment too, because it was like a directly your idea thing. And it was one of the biggest features of the year. So awesome job on that.
Thank you. We also added, I don't remember if that was right, but I like the story. We added perplexity in. It was the second time we tried to do segments. So segments has been a recurring thing. A year ago, we were doing, the entire thing was built around segments, and this 360 report, middle of the year, July, we were doing segments at /segments, which still exists in the app. And we tried to build it and connect it to what we were doing before with segments. Segments seems to be one of those things that keeps coming back, and the fact that it's not getting used, it does feel important. It feels like we're still navigating the idea maze of segments specifically to figure out how to do it the right way. And so I think it's fine that we keep attacking it. And just my takeaway is we have not figured out how to do segments yet. We are probably phrasing the problem space or the question unoptimally and that is what's getting us to dance around a good implementation, an implementation that is really getting used for segments.
Explain.
Um, I find that I might attack a problem and spend a lot of time working on it. And then after I spend all that time working on it, I learn a lot of stuff that I didn't know before. And so then I phrase the task differently. Instead of me just saying, I want to implement tasks, I might say, I want to build on trigger.dev and I get way more specific of the tool that I want to use, the architecture I want to use, learning from my naive original prompt. And the same thing was probably for segments. Originally was this massive monolithic thing. You give us your accounts. We scrape these things in parallel. It needs to run continuously. We wait for those to finish. At the end, we do this big thing, and we had multiple big steps that were all really tightly coupled and stacked together. The second time we've gone over it, well, we said that was really expensive. It took a lot of time. We lost people's attention. How it is an important feature, but how do we build it better? And so the second time we built in and we said, let's just give people a button. Let's build it into tasks. Let's make it a part of the chat. Let's break up the things into smaller tools. And so because we learned from the first time where it didn't work, it allowed us to optimize. But we're still not there. I'm not using it. You're not using it. It still doesn't seem like it's a.
Well, I think what ended up happening, if I can
Yep.
think through, you're correct. But what ended up happening was on that journey, we didn't have credits implemented. Veerball spent $1,000 in testing, and we put a cap on all of the feature and said you can't scrape over, the first 12 things and then over 100 comments. And so we capped it, and then we moved on from that feature. And so now the feature has not been iterated on since we ran into that wall of we were unable to, we didn't, you're correct. We didn't think through all of we didn't phrase it correctly in saying this is what we want to accomplish. And I also don't think we had the infrastructure to to use it in its full potential, right? Because now if we can attach it to credits, now it's less of our problem to say let's figure out how to make this valuable while also making it work financially for us. Whereas now we have credits, so we can just give the user the option of saying, do you want to scrape 100? Do you want to scrape 1,000? Do you want to scrape all of it? Here's what it would cost you. You decide. Or do you want to do it weekly, monthly? So because we can now pass that cost on to the user, if we were to build this out now, it makes more sense of I think it would work better. And I also think it's something that can be coupled in with onboarding, where we can explain that to the user. Here's a feature. Do you want to do it? This is how much it would cost. If yes, click this button and we'll run it. If no, we'll continue on and you can do it later, But I think that's really the only thing blocking us. I mean, obviously there's more, but is us not having it attached to credits and us capping it at that, it's not scraping enough to give good data back to people. All right, continue.
Tasks, which we originally called scheduled actions, we had added in. Agents was added in, and there was a lot of work around being able to allow people to create their own agents. We were working on a file attachment to be able to allow people to drag and drop, attach images and files into the chat. It seems like there were a ton. Q3, we really delivered a lot of features. Q1 was Jad building on everything that I was leading without actually building. Q2 was me getting into the code base, Sid getting into the code base, Veerball coming into the code base, and just reassessing and resetting ourselves. Q3, we've also got Nano Banana. Sid threw in the dropdown for Nano Banana. We added in AI Gateway. We went from hard coding Claude 3 and running through credits that were all our own to giving people a dropdown. We added in the Pro subscription and only allowed Pro subscribers to select higher cost models. We added in AI elements. we added in credits again, and I added in the little circular progress bar to be able to show people how much credits that they've used. And Sid added in the $99 per month. So we went up from whatever it was before of like $20. So Q3 seems like we really hit stride and started just delivering tons of features. Do you remember when we got our first enterprise customer?
September.
So that would have been Q3.
End of Q3. September, October, November. Oh yeah.
So
You're right.
Q3 we really hit stride for the year.
Yeah. And it was I was sending Sunday feature emails every, like, whatever was built, I would send the email saying this is what was built.
We added in those private agents, really made agents customizable. How have you felt about the time we've invested? It seems like agents, there was a lot of focus from you and from Veerball on agents. So we had one dev that looks like Veerball for a lot of July, August, and September was focused on the agents tab. What do you think about the investment of time we made on agents this year? That agents tab specifically, chat.recoupable.com/agents.
I don't think it gets used enough. I think it's confusing. I think that the concept of, again, a lot of this goes back to, like, it's very valuable in a demo to say, and here's what's different from us versus ChatGPT. You click this agents tab and there's 50 agents, all for the music industry. People go, oh, dope, I get it. So, like, in that sense, it's incredibly valuable. When they get into the platform, I don't think it's being used enough. I think if I actually, like, pull up the metrics on it, it's people aren't clicking it often, and some people, like it's me creating agents for people, or saved prompts, but I think it can be rebuilt in a way that's smarter. But it serves its purpose of showing people, like, a good demo of separating us from our other competitors or other AI agent products. But do I think it could be better? Absolutely. I think something that's more modular. I think something that's more proactive, or it doesn't show the user anything that they're not going to care about. Like, if the agent should know who the user is and what kind of agents it should show them, right? Like, all of it also should probably be on the home page instead of the agents tab. Like, there's a lot of UI UX stuff that I think we can improve, but I think it served a good purpose, but I think we designed it in an antiquated way.
The only other thing that came out in Q3 were evals. That was when you went to that conference and then you came back. No, you had gone to the conference, I believe, in Q2, and you had set it up, but we weren't using it until Q3. And then in Q3, when we got the enterprise customer, I then started writing evals, knowing we were about to go into catalogs. And so then Q4, the first thing that I'm seeing in October is catalogs. I was building heavily on catalogs. Veerball was doing drag and drop for files and was working on showing the little preview image for the files that were being selected and added to chat. I'm big on catalogs. I'm focused on catalogs. We tried to do CSV uploads. I think I ended up building it in. Yeah, it looks like I was. Then we got into Sora, and I think this is the first week of October. So the start of Q4, Veerball leaves the team. So Veerball was on the team Q2, Q3. Q4, Veerball leaves. I'm doing Sora, which is still incomplete. Sid was building Chain of Thought, AI SDK, and web search streaming. So Sid comes back in. Compazio, Sid originally added. It sat idle for a couple months, but did end up getting used later on. I'm building out more evals for some of our tasks. Sid's working on enterprise stuff for onboarding our first enterprise customer. We're writing evals around the things that our enterprise customers are talking about. Our goal is this was the first month that they were subscribed. How do we make sure that they stay with us for the next month? Sid and I started to say, okay, how can we automate our code reviews? So we added in Code Rabbit. We were doing our hour-long streams where we were trying to test all the different code reviewers. I've ultimately learned from that CodeRabbit is really good, and I like CodeRabbit, and they're my favorite. And a team that hyper focuses on one specific feature is going to outperform a general team that offers the feature. CodeRabbit is just focused on reviewing of code, even though Codex and Claude and Cursor and Vercel offer them. I think the team that is hyper focusing on them has a higher quality product with more bells and whistles, more things that we can customize. And I think that is an testament for us as well. Even though OpenAI can likely do a lot of the things that we do, or they might offer it, we hyper focusing on our specific niche will create its own business opportunity just from our ability to brutally obsess over it. We also added in Twilio. So that was when the first time I tried adding in SMS as an additional client. We didn't end up finishing that. The block point on Twilio was getting a phone number registered so we could send it to everybody. Learning from that, Twilio is outdated. They're not iterating fast enough. I am now testing out a new product called TelSyncs or something like that. They're trying to compete on Twilio. I'm using them right now. Very easy to set up. $1 for a phone number as opposed to, I think, $5 per month. Lower price point on sending and receiving messages. Already got it hooked up for in process, and it was really fast for us to send text to anybody globally. So I think we'll do the same thing for Recoup moving forward. I think SMS is still very important right after email. And once we get this time, we will do it on a different platform that does not have as many bureaucratic blockers of needing to KYC and do these other things for us to start sending text. Sid added in, this was when you added in bulk selecting and deletion of recent chats. I stumbled upon that the other day, and I didn't even know that got merged. And when I saw it, it took me off guard. And then I was like, oh, this is a thing that exists. Interesting. And now I know it exists. Do you still use that feature?
It was a feature I made for me because I was trying to I was just organizing all of my chats and it was terrible.
Stack SDK finally got removed on October 20th. So that was Q1 tech debt finally getting removed. That's one of the things. It's one of the reasons I'm so brutal about code going in is because we might say, it's okay that we just kind of push this in. I needed it right before a meeting for an important sales call. I'll get to it next week. Next week turns into 2 quarters later that this tech debt's just been sitting there in the code base, taking up context tokens, devs ask, should this get prioritized and deleted? And something that we could have spent a half an hour on originally, preventing it, has turned into minutes and hours and days and weeks of us talking about it, prioritizing it, deprioritizing it. This is why slow is smooth is fast feels like a very important thing to me. It doesn't feel important in the time, but then over time, these heavy weights build up and they really slow us down. And then some dev eventually has to prioritize taking something out that 5-10 people have built upon instead of spending a half an hour up front. Might slow down the initial sales call, but keeps the code base light so that we are iterating faster than these other teams that are totally vibe coded that might be competing in the music industry are doing. Tasks, we got updating tasks, deleting tasks. We switched over to using trigger.dev. So trigger.dev was brought in Q4. Conversations load faster. AI SDK was moved to V6. We now have an API repository where we're splitting out a bunch of different repositories. We brought Composio in for Google Sheets. So another client. Gemini and others are getting added in. We added in Threads for whatever we were doing with Thread. Oh yeah, the same thing of automated socials. We're now in November. I'm migrating stuff. We built in X402. Sid was doing artist enterprises, bringing that into the database, doing all the organization changes. We've now got an email client. You can message the email client. We've got our own MCP server. Q3 was the big month, it seems, of new features. Q4, we continued the momentum, more getting released than in Q1 or Q2, but it feels like it has slowed down a little bit this month. Go ahead.
I think on what you're saying, when you say slowed down, I don't think it's slowed down. What I think happened was, and this is just my version of the story again, in Q3, we shipped features and we did it publicly, like with through email, and we had a lot of people try the product.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by the end of the quarter, we weren't retaining people. So like people were coming in and they were using it, but we didn't hold the retention. And so like the measurement of product market fit, like uh, is that essence of people continue to come back to it, like um, and it grows, right? Like through word of mouth and people tell their friends about it. I think that like there is a weird thing around product market fit with AI where people want to share new innovative things even if they don't use it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that like there's this element of like with AI products specifically where people will like share an AI product and pretend like they use it, but really there's just them trying to like flex like the like I know about AI stuff, here, check this out. So it's like a gift and a curse for us because like it's us getting like some word of mouth, but at the end of the day we're like really not retaining people. Now by the end of the quarter we ended up one feature did, and I don't know what the correlation or causation was or whatever you want to call it, but like by the end of the quarter we did retain the enterprise customer
Yep.
enough to get them to pay, and that was through a series of like email tasks that were set up and the like tasks feature, email feature, which had sending reoccurring tasks to him which he would forward to his team. And then come Q4 or like throughout that, it was like, all right, well, like let's try to get our team on. It was also me recurring meetings with him, with the enterprise customer,
Yep.
and it reinforcing the trust factor. So it was like reminders plus trust and like free game of like how you want to build stuff, um, and then and that led to like building a strong relationship, and then like less it was the customer relationship was less about like I need this feature today, and it was more about okay, over the next year how do we compete. Recoup will help us, right? And I think that was an unlock of like okay, like if we can frame our product around that ICP, like not necessarily how do you compete tomorrow, but like are you set up correctly, I think is a huge was a huge unlock. And then what happened was from that we went right back into like learning mode of like what are we missing in order to facilitate, what are all the features that we shipped but we learned, oh, we need to be more modular, oh, we're missing credits, oh, we're missing or organizations, oh, we're like missing an MCP, like all of these the things that are not as pretty as like send an email to anyone, like but I'm not going to send anybody and be like, I'm not going to email everybody and be like organizations are now available or but so I think it seems like it's this ship a bunch of features, learn a bunch of shit, go back into grind mode and build out, then ship a bunch of features, learn a bunch of shit, go back into grind mode for a quarter.
Yeah, I agree. Q3 was us shotgun spreading everything out, shipping as many things as we can to try to see what sticks. We got something that stuck. We got our enterprise customer. The enterprise customer then refocused the light beam into these, like you said, credits. These are the specific list of features that we need so that they don't leave, because they are giving us the solid foundation so that we can build and feel like there's a real product. They're giving us true signal. And so then it's okay, we don't need the buckshot anymore. Now we need to keep them happy so that we have a good business base so that we can bring in more custom. We have retention in terms of their payment. Long list of features that were merged this year. On-chain agent kit, Stacks, Lane Chain, Eliza OS, Jad left as lead dev. Sid was doing weekly outreach. Vercel AI SDK from LangChain. Beerball came in, create new artist, mini app, generating image, generate generative UI, YouTube sign-in, evals with Brain Trust, email client, Telegram bot, Perplexity, segments, AI elements, AI gateway, drop-down models, whatever you want for your model. Pro features, tasks, credits, catalogs, Twilio for SMS, email client, trigger.dev, Google Sheets X402. In my mind, what I learned this year was coaching is important and a value prop. Our enterprise clients love that you get on calls with them and you help tell them how they can run a label. The emails help people come back. You sending out those things are very helpful, and they lead to more. So both the emails and the agents, when you're on those calls, being able to say, look at all the things that I've created for you, and be able to create those. People want those and get value out of that. And that is a great top of funnel for us to, we will help you adapt to the new age of AI. We coach you. We have our hands in the weeds. Coaching is very important. Clients, I think, seem to be one of our differentiating factors, is another thing that I've learned. Point two.
Yeah.
Email clients, YouTube sign-in, SMS client, things that right now other people aren't focusing on, we can heavily focus on, putting ourselves where the other players won't want to play. Also, learning retention equals product market fit. Even though coaching is great to get them in the door, they're not sticking around. My hypothesis is we win on retention through clients. The same way that we're differentiating, I think, leads to product market fit. I think the more integrated we are into where people are already spending the time, the easier it is for them to spend 3 seconds and engage with us for a day, for us to be able to say someone sent a text message to us 365 days this year, or someone replied to our emails 365 days this year. It sounds way easier to me than they visited our website, they logged in, they clicked the new chat button, and like they typed those things in. And the big question that I have, which you have already mentioned, it feels like what we've been learning since we got the enterprise, and it sounds like where we're leaning towards for our business next year. How do we help labels compete in an age of AI without them increasing headcount?
Agreed.
What were your learnings from this year, and do you have any questions?
Learnings this year was very similar. Learning and coaching is huge. It's huge. It's also a differentiator because ChatGPT, Claude, like all of those platforms only offer that service to like companies, like they don't offer the service to small business. And
Microsoft.
Yeah, our version of enterprise is their version of SMB. Right. And so we're able to give small businesses, which are these labels, sub-parent labels, whatever, the feeling like they're an enterprise customer without paying $500,000, a year. So it's a huge up. I think we can do more. I can double down on that, but I think it's something else that I think something else that we can do better at is also integrating these things that you just said, learning and coaching, clients and setup, like and automation, those things. And then I also wrote down custom context engineering. I think like one of the huge value props for me was like being able to say, type in your artist name, and we automatically set up the knowledge base, like where normally it would take somebody a lot of time and effort, right? Like it was taking me 2 to 3 hours in the beginning to set up one artist with the context, doing the research, pulling it in, et cetera. Like we're able to run that. And like where we differentiate, right, is that we take what we learned and turn it into a reusable asset in the platform. Whereas with ChatGPT, I think you can't, ChatGPT, you can run an artist research, but then you have to know that you have to like copy it, export it, save it back into a project. So most people aren't doing that. They'll run a deep research and then they go to a new chat, and like the deep research stays in an old chat, and then you're not building out a knowledge system for each artist campaign project, right? And the majority of customers don't have a context manager in their company to manage context and projects, et cetera. So if we're able to do the custom context engineering for our customers and make it modular enough where it's not just artists, but it's like we're doing it in a way that is makes it easier for them to get started and get an intelligent AI system, we win. So like, again, I'll go back to learning and coaching, custom context engineering, and clients. And the thing that I like where it's interesting is I think like onboarding can achieve all of those things at scale. right? Like, because if we frame an onboarding experience right now, user gets added into the app and it creates an artist for them. It automatically assumes that they need an artist, and then their entire frame of reference is then like, okay, it's created an artist and now I have this artist and now what? And then we just like say like, all right, cool, you're done. Like you have this artist, like we don't teach anything else. I have to go in. So I think like we can make our onboarding achieve a couple different things, right? One is collect the data of the user, of their context, all of that, like pull it all in and we have it so we can start context engineering for them on the back end as needed. Who are they? Where do they work? Do a scrape on them, just like we're doing a scrape on artists, so we can start to assume goals and be opinionated on what UX should we show them, what tasks should we automatically set up for them, if they're a marketer versus a research analyst versus a CEO, right? All of that, like we can pull in on onboarding. Second is during onboarding, we can also set up like micro learning and coaching moments of like, this is how you prompt an AI. This is what happens when you like the things that I'm doing manually, like teaching people, this is how you manage files. And this is how you like, you can set up all of that stuff. So like when people's like, I think it'd be awesome if when people first use Recoupable, they feel like one, they know the product, but two, they feel like they got a little bit smarter with AI. Like Recoupable becomes a shepherd or a shaman and handholds them, not just on around the product, but also like just in the age of AI, let me help you walk through the fire, you know? And then three is onboarding can also help get them set up with clients, right? Like, and we have to think through the easiest way, but like set up their, right now I'm thinking through like, even if you set up SMS, I'm going to need to either send an email or manually set this up, or like, how do we collect their phone numbers?
The phone numbers, right.
Right. And so like, same thing with YouTube, same thing with Spotify, like all of these things, like we could set up a way that makes it almost easy, like one button or like in an intuitive experience enough where like the user's learning, they're setting up their system, we're capturing the data. And by like, you know, the first 5 to 10 minutes of using the experience, it like gets everything needed to like build on top of these incredible features and leverage things like later on. So I think like that's my big takeaway is that like my question, I guess, like that I'm framing this around is like, how many customers of all of like the active users this year would we still retain if they had an incredible onboarding experience? If like when they got on, they felt like Recoupable taught them something, we context engineered better, we set up clients for them, like all of that stuff was, would they have stayed or would they have still left? So that's my thought. What are your thoughts? I'm also going to walk to charge my laptop.
I'm looking forward to 2026 now. You want to state what the current 10-year goal is of Recoup?
Make the music industry autonomous. Hey, I'm just getting my charger.
Is that sweet?
Yeah, you want to say hi? You're also on live stream, so say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Alessa, Merry Christmas.
People watching us?
No.
Currently, no. Maybe in the future, though.
Okay, in the future, okay. Hello, future people. Hi, sweets. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Alessa. It's good to see you.
It's so good to see you, too. Do you want to come say hi to Sweet Story? When are you going to come and visit us, Sweets? I've missed you so much.
Oh, I didn't know. I've tried twice, and it hasn't felt like it works. I'm open to talking about it. If you guys want me to visit, I would love to come anytime.
I would love for you to come visit. And Washington, D.C. is so much. I'd love to show you around. Have you ever spent time here?
Not really spent time.
Oh my gosh. I will give you the tour of all tours, Sweets.
So you guys are loving
Official Alessa DC tour.
It's a good tour.
It is. It's a good tour. It's a good tour.
And I heard Story had a good Christmas.
Oh my gosh, he had such a good Christmas. It was so cute. This is like the first year that he's kind of like, like kind of understands the Santa thing. Like, like is like with it. Last year it was kind of just like there's paper, but like this year he was more like, elves and Santa and North Pole. So that was fun. It was really cute seeing him yesterday, like tear into everything too.
And so far, the Binky reindeer has been going okay.
Yes, he gave his passies to the baby reindeer. He's been doing such a good job.
It's an important time. The reindeer need that pacifier more than he does. So I'm glad that he's being a grown-up and helping those reindeer get the binkies that they need.
Exactly. He is a big boy, and he gave his passies, and the baby reindeer gave him a special blanket and baby reindeer stuffies so that he can go to bed with that.
Oh, wow. They must have loved his binky. They must have loved his pacifier.
They loved it so much they gave him a special Christmas gift for a big thank you. So, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. He has to charge
5%.
Okay. I'm sorry, Sweets. Thank you. It's good
Good to
chatting.
chat. Merry
Come to
Christmas.
DC and visit me, Sweets.
Sorry. Oh. All right, we're at 5%. Let's see if we can make it.
When are you going over for gymnastics?
In 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay.
We'll try to make it 5. Make music industry autonomous. Have you thought through what you want the goal to be?
Wait. Are you in alignment with that?
I don't know how concrete it is. I challenge it to be more concrete. Like getting humanity on Mars feels really concrete, and you tell that to someone and it clicks for them what that means.
Say it again.
Getting humans to Mars.
Oh yeah.
Like that one's very concrete. You tell it to someone and it clicks and like they get it. If my parents ask like what does your AI company do, and I say we make the music industry autonomous, I think that creates 5 more questions and doesn't necessarily give them clarity. So I agree with the direction, and I don't think we need to get super detailed. That is, I think, what I would love to do with the 10-year plan is figure out how do we make that phrasing something that when you tell someone, whether they get our industry or they don't, they can visualize like, that makes sense. Do you have any thoughts on what 2026, the year-long goal, is going to look like for next year? I'm just talking to myself right now, aren't I? Merry Christmas, it says Christmas comes this time each year. Ooh, well, away up north where the air gets cold, there's a tale about Christmas that you've all been told. There's a real famous cat all dressed up in red, and he spends the whole year working out in his sled. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. It's the little Saint Nick, little Saint Nick. Ooh, Merry Christmas, Saint Nick. Ooh, Merry Christmas, Saint Nick. Well, I think it's about time for everybody to wrap up. We lost Sid, so we'll give it another minute or two, but we're already at the hour. So thank you, everybody, for joining us this year. We'll probably be back on Monday, so we'll still have a couple more meetings, but they'll be just little check-in meetings. The next time we'll be back for our hour-long check-in will be in January. I think it'll be on the 1st, so we'll need to talk about if we're going to be doing it. But I don't know. I will likely be traveling on the 1st, so I don't think we're going to do it. But next week, Monday and Wednesday, we should be having these. So, no, Friday is the 2nd, so maybe we do it on the 2nd. But navigating through the holiday season. Sid has left, so thank you all for tuning in. We will see you on Monday.